The cyclical economy is the most important bucket in my view. The cyclical economy is the first place where we begin to measure actual economic activity, and we're measuring production or output as well as employment for the construction and manufacturing sectors specifically. And the reason that we're so focused on the construction and manufacturing sectors specifically is because these are the most volatile, the most interest rate sensitive, the most credit sensitive, and where all recessions or all big booms in the economy originate from. They always originate from the construction and manufacturing sectors. The aggregate economy, as the name suggests, is the whole pie. Everything in the economy, all employment, all consumption, all production, everything put together. And then the lagging economy is primarily measuring services consumption and services employment. Services are not interest rate sensitive. They're not credit sensitive, which is why they're the last thing to feel the impact. Generally, what has to happen is you need to experience job losses in the cyclical economy, job losses of construction and manufacturing. And only once those people lose their jobs do they become the stress on the aggregate and lagging economy. So with that very long-winded explanation, we can now refocus on this chart here, and we can see that the leading economy or leading variables have been contracting or in a recessionary stance for over 2 years, as this chart measures the growth rate from 24, 18, 12, 6 months ago, and the most recent data. This is why the recession conversation has been active for so long, because these leading indicators have been in a recessionary stance for over 2 years. Normally, the lead time between a contraction in leading data and a contraction in cyclical economic data is about 6 to 8 months. However, what happened this cycle is the leading economic data was contracting for 2 years, and just now, 24 months later, are we just seeing the first signs of contraction in the cyclical economy. So we're seeing a decline in the number of residential units under construction, a decline in manufacturing activity, a decline in manufacturing employment, although the declines are somewhat mild still. If we don't have a persistent and deep contraction in the cyclical economy, which has only just started, then the aggregate economy will not come down. And we can see that that aggregate economy bucket has been extraordinarily stable, right at approximately the trend level of growth. And then, as the sequence would suggest, the lagging economy is still performing above trend because you don't have a below trend or contractionary state in the aggregate economy. So where we stand today is we have a recessionary contraction in leading economic data. It took about a year to a year and a quarter longer than normal for it to show up in the cyclical economy, but it has just started to show up as a contraction in cyclical sectors. The aggregate economy is still performing just fine, about on trend, which is why the stock market continues to perform well as most financial assets, because they're most tied to the cyclical economy or aggregate economy, excuse me. And then the lagging or services economy, which unfortunately is what a lot of people focus on and does not give you a good read of where things are going, is still doing quite well. So things are okay as defined by the aggregate economy right now. However, we should be aware that leading economic data has not improved from its recessionary stance. The contraction has begun to show up in cyclical economic data, which means in time it will show up as a deeper downturn in the aggregate economy, although there's still likely a little bit of time before it gets there.